Today on Monson Made This, we're making pancakes, but they're not bacon pancakes. I'm so excited to share this recipe with you. It is for orange creamsicle pancakes. These things are insane. Not only are the pancakes themselves full of orange creamsicle flavor, but there is this orange icing, there is a maple cream cheese type of sauce and whipped cream. They are insane. So stick around and I will show you how to make all of these amazing components of this insane dish.
Is it insane?
It's insane. The pancake recipe starts with this amazing baking mix recipe. Here in this food processor, I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to be adding some baking powder and salt. Of course, the full recipe will be linked below this video. And this is just a great all-purpose baking mix to make biscuits, all sorts of things. Today we're just using it to make these pancakes though. So I'm going to pulse this to combine the dry ingredients. That's good. And then to that, I'm adding a 1/2 cup of coconut oil. Now, this pancake recipe that I'm making is for delicious, amazing orange creamsicle pancakes. This is not a healthy recipe. This is not a diet recipe. This is a delicious recipe that is full of flavor and sugar and fat. So don't be scared off. I promise it's worth the calories. So, got the 1/2 cup of coconut oil in here, and this is refined coconut oil, so it doesn't have any coconut flavor. And then I'm just going to pulse this and blend it until basically all of the coconut oil is mixed in and we don't have any big chunks. So what we're looking for is a texture that's like flour, but if we pinch it together, it will clump. So I can't see any pieces of coconut oil. That means it is done. This gets stored in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it, and I would even recommend putting it in the fridge for a little while before using it in these pancakes. So I'm gonna throw this in the fridge and we'll get started on the sauces. The first sauce that we are going to construct for this is the orange creamsicle sauce, and it's basically just an icing, starting out with some confectioner sugar or powdered sugar, and instead of your traditional icing, which is made with milk and powdered sugar, we're going to be using orange juice to give it that creamsicle flavor. First thing I want to do though is to zest this orange, and we're going to be getting the juice out of this orange as well as the zest. Now I'm going to be putting some of the zest into my pancakes as well, so I'm just going to do the zesting of this entire orange here so I can cut it up and use the juice in this. So we have probably just about a teaspoon of the zest here now, which is what we want for the icing. I'm just going to put that in there and then set that aside while I zest the rest. Now the thing that gives this the orange creamsicle flavor is the vanilla addition to this. So not only do you get the brightness of the orange, but then you get the vanilla flavor, which has that sort of creamy vanilla ice cream flavor as well. So, okay, so there's the zest that I need for the pancakes. Set that aside. And then I'm going to cut this orange up so I can juice it. Now, this icing can go from dry to too wet very quickly, so you want to just be careful and err on the side of too little juice at first, instead of adding a bunch and then you've got just too liquidy of an icing. So I'm gonna juice this 1/2 of an orange here. Call that good. And the secret ingredient for the pancakes as well as this icing is this orange oil. And instead of using some type of like orange extract, this is just kind of cutting to the chase. And this is just like basically the oil that comes from the zest. We're just getting a slightly more concentrated version. So I'm gonna start out with just maybe 5 drops. Adding then about a 1/2 teaspoon of the vanilla extract. Be careful with the vanilla, it can overpower this and cause it to just be too vanilla, so you want to make sure that the flavors are really balanced. All right, and let's just start adding juice here. I'm gonna start out with maybe 3 tablespoons. So this is the 3 tablespoons, and I'm stirring it in here, and I can already tell I'm probably going to be wanting some more orange juice, so I'm gonna have to start to juice that other half. But I'm gonna stir as much as I can just to see what the texture is. So it is coming together, but it's just a bit thick. We want this to be more of a drizzle instead of like a frosting. So I think maybe 1 more, maybe 2 tablespoons at max. I also want to add just a bit of lemon juice to that, just to brighten up the flavor. And I only want maybe a teaspoon or so. All right, so I'm just gonna juice the other half of the orange. Let's go with 1 more tablespoon. Now the orange juice does a great job of adding the orange flavor, but it's truly the zest and that orange oil that brightens this up. It just truly punches it. All right, so this looks perfect, gorgeous drizzle consistency. So this was 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and I ended up with 4 tablespoons of orange juice and just a teaspoon of lemon juice. I want to give it a quick taste. Pardon my fingers. Oh yeah, that lemon juice adds just the right amount of zing. It's creamsicle. So I'm gonna set this aside covered so it doesn't dry out, and I'm gonna make my next sauce now. The next sauce we're making is a maple cream cheese type of sauce, and it's based off of cashew cream cheese that we're just adding some maple syrup to. So here I have a 1/2 cup of cashews that were soaked overnight, and to that I'm going to be adding a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Now this bottle here was 10 bucks at Sprouts. Maple syrup is insanely expensive right now, so if you have alternative like pancake syrups, you might want to use that here, but I prefer the pure maple syrup. So to give it more of a cream cheesy flavor, we're going to add just a teaspoon of lemon juice, and this just kind of gives it a bit of a tang. And we need a pinch of salt. So this is gonna be just drizzled on top of the pancake, so I wanna make sure that it's gonna have a nice drizzle texture. And I'm just gonna add maybe 2 tablespoons of water before I blend it. And I'm using my NutriBullet here again. I just got this new small cup, but you could use any type of high-speed blender. And actually the cashews are soaked pretty well, so you could probably pretty much use any blender for this. So let's blend it up. And I just want to stop it every once in a while to clean down the blades, clean down the sides, just to make sure everything is getting blended. As I'm scraping down the sides here, I'm noticing that it's still a bit thick, so I'm going to add just another tablespoon of water. You could use soy milk or almond milk as well. Water's easiest. So just another tablespoon. And just like with most cashew-based sauces, they tend to thicken up as they set a little bit, so definitely check it right before you serve this, because you may find that it's thickened up and you need to just add a bit more water. All right, so let's get it back on the blender blade and send it back on to blend for just another minute. Okay, I think it's pretty much done. Let's just give it a look here. Oh yeah, beautiful texture. So this is just going to be drizzled over the top of the pancakes, and it just adds a nice mapley, cream cheesy flavor. So I'm gonna just set this in the fridge until we're ready to serve. The last thing that's gonna go on top of these pancakes before we actually assemble these pancakes is a, spaced out there, whipped cream. Yeah, whipped cream. So I've actually already made a coconut whipped cream. I'll have the full recipe linked below, but I don't really use much whipped cream here, so I just made 1 batch and I have it on the, in the fridge to be able to use in this recipe. All right, so I'm gonna finish cleaning this lid off, and then we'll make the pancakes. Here in this bowl, I have 2 cups of our baking mix, and it does clump a little bit when it's in the fridge, but as you can see, it's still a perfect texture. It already has some salt and baking powder in it, but to make these pancakes, we're gonna add a bit more baking powder, and we're going to sweeten it up with a bit of sugar. There we go. And we need a bit of vanilla extract, the orange zest, And I'm just gonna start out with a few drops of the orange oil. Let's start with maybe 5 or 6, and we can taste test it and see if that's enough. All right, so I have a cup of soy milk. I might need a little bit more, but I'm gonna start with the cup of soy milk. And you really want these ingredients to be pretty cool at this point so that the coconut oil that's in the baking mix doesn't melt. You want it to be able to stay where it is. And don't mix too vigorously either. You don't want to activate the gluten in the flour. You just want to mix it until it appears that there are no more dry spots. Now I can already tell this is not going to be liquid enough, so I'm going to be adding a bit more soy milk. Just maybe about a quarter more cup. In the recipe I say between 1 and 1.5 cups, so we might end up going all the way with the 1.5 cups. Yeah, let's add a bit more. You want it to puddle a little bit when it goes onto the griddle. You want it to spread, you don't want it to stick. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna taste it right now to make sure that I have enough orange extract. And I definitely don't, so I'm gonna add just about 5 more drops. Maybe a little more milk too. Okay, one last taste test. There we are. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, heat up my griddle, and then we're ready to make some pancakes. So for these pancakes, I have my griddle heated to about 350, 375, and adding the batter about 1/4 cup at a time. As you can see, it's not necessarily spreading as much as I'd like to, but it's okay. If it's like that, like mine is, just kind of spread it out a little bit. Looks good. Full disclosure too, I've tested this only with my frying pan on the stove, so this is my first time using this griddle. Let's all pray together that these come out nice. And usually with pancakes, the first couple aren't that pretty. We'll see. You're looking for the bubbles to form on the top, and when you're able to flip them over, you can. Let's see. Not terrible. Notice I'm not using any oil on the griddle at all. There's enough oil in the pancakes, I think, that they shouldn't stick. If you wanted to add some butter or oil for flavor, go ahead and do that. Just let them finish cooking, and then I'm gonna add them to a plate. If you're cooking up a whole batch, you definitely wanna put them into an oven at about 200 degrees to keep them all warm until you're ready to serve everything together. All right, I'm just gonna keep going until all of these are done. I'm not sure exactly how many I'll get out of this batch, but quite a bit. This should serve probably 4 people. My pancakes are finished. I ended up getting about 12 pancakes out of that, and I am so excited to dig in. I have my sauces, I have my orange glaze, because you know that I love a squeeze bottle. I have the cashew maple sauce in here, and then this is the coconut whipped cream that I struggled through explaining a little bit earlier. So let's dress these pancakes up. Here is a drizzle of our cashew maple sauce, a drizzle of our orange creamsicle glaze, and then a healthy dollop of our coconut whipped cream. I'm so excited to try these, dig in. Look how beautiful this looks. So I'm gonna get a bite, making sure that I get both of those sauces and the whipped cream. Beautiful fluffy pancakes. Here we go. Oh my God. I'm blown away. That creamsicle flavor is so incredible. It's through everything. It's in the whipped cream, it's in that creamsicle icing, it's in the maple cashew sauce, which doesn't technically have any orange components in it, but it just raises everything up. And then the pancakes themselves, the pancakes aren't sucking flavor out of anything else because they themselves are full of the orange creamsicle flavor. This is insane. Hands down the best pancakes I have ever had in my entire life. So you've got to give these a try. Again, the full recipe posted below. Follow that link and have yourself an orange creamsicle pancake party. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. You gotta try these pancakes. Watch my other videos. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet already. Follow me on Instagram at monsonmadethis. That's all I have to say before I finish these pancakes. I will see you next week with a brand new recipe video. You're gonna love this. These are insane.